Chosen ones, the group that came against you is panicking. Listen carefully, because what I am about to tell you is something they desperately do not want you to know. For months, or maybe even years, they have whispered in secret. They completely misunderstood your silence for weakness. They launched a massive smear campaign to drain your energy. You remember that sudden shift in the atmosphere? The people you trusted suddenly pulled away from you. The entire town seemed to turn against you overnight. It felt like you were completely losing your mind. You questioned your own reality. You asked heaven what you did wrong to deserve such a heavy and painful isolation. Stop scrolling right now and take one deep breath slowly. Let the heavy noise leave your mind for just a moment. You feel that quiet ache sitting in the back of your chest. You feel the deep exhaustion you cannot explain, even when you have rested perfectly. I need you to stop running from this uncomfortable feeling today. You have been fighting battles that absolutely nobody understands. You smiled for the world while carrying a massive weight nobody sees. You protected people who never even bothered to check on your fragile heart. You cried alone in your car so your family would not see you break down. The hidden pain was absolutely unbearable. They sat at their tables and spoke poorly of your sacred name. They created a fake narrative to make themselves look like the innocent victims. And the entire community blindly followed their toxic lies without asking questions. You stood there watching people you loved believe the absolute worst about you. You felt completely abandoned. There is a very specific reason why your life has felt so overwhelmingly strange lately. The sudden exhaustion and the people walking away were not an accident. I need you to stay with me until the very end of this message. What the Holy Spirit is about to reveal will finally make sense of every single tear you cried. Something massive shifted in the unseen realm just 72 hours ago. Heaven has been watching you endure this deeply unfair treatment. God saw the fake smiles of the people who secretly plotted your downfall in the dark. He heard every single word they whispered behind closed doors. And now the universe is flipping the script. The very trap they set for you has become their own spiritual prison. Right now, absolute confusion is hitting their divided camp. They are turning on each other and tearing their own lives apart. What they whispered in secret is currently being shouted from the rooftops. They thought they destroyed you, but they only destroyed themselves. You have always been the empath and the quiet healer in the room. From a very young age, you could easily read the hidden tension. You saw right through the fake energy that everyone else chose to blindly ignore. That was not rebellion, but deep and powerful spiritual discernment. You were placed there to be the ultimate cycle breaker. You carried the spiritual weight of a severely broken community. You fought cycles of emotional abuse that started long before you even arrived on this earth. The enemy tried to break your mind, to stop your massive divine calling. They used the people closest to you as weapons to drain your sacred frequency. It was a calculated attack. You are not depressed, and you are not losing your mind. Your spirit is simply exhausted from fighting brutal battles in the unseen realm. You acted as a human shield for people who secretly wanted you to fail miserably. You absorbed their chaotic energy so they could have temporary peace. But your shift as their protector is finally over. Do not let your mind wander here, chosen one. Lock your attention on what heaven is speaking to your spirit today. Type 777 in the comments right now to claim this absolute breakthrough. The system wants you to feel small and completely defeated, but they are absolutely terrified of your impending and powerful awakening. The community teamed up to cast you out because your bright light exposed their hidden demons. They could not manipulate you, so they decided to quickly isolate you. They wanted you to beg for a tiny seat at their highly toxic table. They expected you to lower your high standards just to fit into their broken mold. But you refused to bow down. You chose to walk away in complete and absolute silence. You did not fight back or try to aggressively defend your solid character. You let them misunderstand you, and you let them tell their comfortable lies. And that silent authority is exactly what is driving them insane right now. They cannot comprehend how you survived their attack. Before I go any further, I need you to understand something deeply. You have spent countless nights wondering why they all walked away. You blamed yourself for the sudden rejection, and you replayed every conversation trying to find your mistake. But what you called a painful boycott was actually a divine rescue mission. Heaven had to step in and violently shake your reality to save your soul. Your intense isolation is absolutely not a punishment. It is a strict divine quarantine designed specifically to protect your sacred frequency from further damage. The universe saw the toxic energy you were constantly absorbing from those completely ungrateful people. God knew that if you stayed in that environment, their darkness would eventually consume your brilliant light. So you were forcefully removed. Listen to me carefully, because your soul needs to hear this truth. You thought they cast you out of their circle, but the reality is that the Holy Spirit blinded them to your true value. Heaven made you highly unappealing to their toxic spirits, so they would voluntarily walk away from your life. It was the ultimate form of spiritual protection. They did not reject you because you were somehow flawed. They rejected you because they could feel the heavy conviction of your pure energy. Your mere presence in the room made their internal demons incredibly uncomfortable. They could not manipulate your strong spirit, and they could not control your divine path. So they decided to completely destroy your reputation. But here is where it goes much deeper. The smear campaign they launched was actually orchestrated by the universe to permanently sever your ties to them. If they had just quietly drifted away, you would have chased after them to heal their brokenness. You are an empath, and you naturally want to fix people who are deeply hurting. Heaven had to make their betrayal loud. God had to make their toxic behavior so obvious that you could never justify returning to their table. You were trying desperately to save people who absolutely loved their heavy chains. You poured your precious energy into a bottomless pit of endless need and manipulation. You were literally bleeding out spiritually to keep their fake community intact. It had to stop. Take one deep breath and drop your tense shoulders right now. You do not need to carry their heavy emotional garbage anymore. You are officially released from the exhausting burden of healing people who want to stay broken. Let that profound truth wash over your tired spirit today. You are a masterpiece of the Creator, and you deserve absolute peace. There are absolutely no coincidences in the life of a chosen one. Everything that happened in the last few months was a perfectly timed divine appointment. You have always felt like the strange black sheep of the town. You never quite fit into their superficial conversations and their fake social gatherings. You were simply not meant to blend into the matrix. Your profound kindness was never a sign of weakness. It was a rigorous divine test that you took in total silence. You loved them when they were unlovable, and you helped them when they had absolutely nothing to offer. You passed the test of character, while they completely failed the test of basic loyalty. And now the heavy scales of justice are finally balancing. Do you remember the nights you woke up feeling completely paralyzed by anxiety? That was not regular depression or a random panic attack. Your spirit was acting as an invisible human shield, absorbing the intense spiritual warfare directed at your entire group. You fought terrifying battles in the unseen realm while your physical body tried to sleep. You were their guard, but they repaid your silent sacrifice with vicious gossip and bitter betrayal. They took your precious light and tried to bury it under a mountain of ugly lies. Now they are completely unprotected because your powerful spiritual shield has been permanently removed from their camp. The divine quarantine is keeping you perfectly safe while their world crumbles. This isolation is the sacred womb where your new authority is being formed. God pulled you into the quiet wilderness so you could finally hear His voice without their constant screaming. You are not starting over from scratch today. You are simply finishing the final stage of your long preparation. The painful separation was an absolute necessity. Type 888 in the comments if you can feel this massive emotional weight lifting off your chest. You did not survive that brutal community attack because you are just physically tough. You survived because you are divinely chosen for a purpose much bigger than that small town. The universe is actively realigning your path toward unprecedented abundance. Let them misunderstand your beautiful silence and let them assume whatever they want to believe. You no longer need to explain your complex soul to people who are entirely committed to misunderstanding your spirit. You have successfully entered the sacred sanctuary of quiet authority. Your divine energy is way too expensive to spend on their cheap drama. Now, let us talk about what the enemy desperately tried to hide from you. You need to understand the exact anatomy of their vicious betrayal. They did not wake up one morning and randomly decide to ruin your life. This was a highly coordinated spiritual attack by the dark system because they recognized your powerful divine calling. They targeted you strictly because of your pure essence. You have always possessed a very unique and powerful spiritual gift. The moment you walk into any crowded room, you instantly read the heavy atmosphere. You see right through the fake smiles and the shallow conversations that they use to hide their deep insecurities. And that sharp intuition is exactly what made them so incredibly uncomfortable. They realized quickly that they could never hide their dark secrets. Strangers have always confessed their deepest and darkest stories to you. Your bright light acts as a divine mirror, reflecting their true inner state. But the toxic people in your community did not want to see their ugly reflections, because facing the absolute truth would require them to change their wicked ways. They preferred to live comfortably inside their fragile matrix of lies. Your authentic presence threatened their entire fake reality. Here is the profound truth that will finally set your tired spirit free. The truth is, they did not actually hate you. They hated the blinding light inside you that relentlessly exposed their hidden darkness. When you refused to play their toxic games, they felt deeply judged by your quiet purity, and they realized they could never manipulate your high frequency. So they decided they had to absolutely destroy you. But why did the entire town have to team up against one single person? Why did they need a massive group just to take you down? Please listen very carefully to this massive spiritual revelation. One toxic person can never defeat a chosen one in a fair spiritual fight, because your divine protection is far too strong for their weak energy. They desperately needed an army of sleepers to validate their own pathetic insecurities. They built a fragile alliance based entirely on mutual jealousy and deep fear. They sat in their dark corners and bonded over their shared hatred, because destroying your reputation was the only way they could feel powerful. You were always the one giving and helping everyone else in the community, But when you finally fell down, not a single person reached out to catch you. They stood together and watched you suffer in complete silence. They drained your precious energy like emotional vampires, feeding on your high frequency. Every time you left their gatherings, you felt physically and spiritually exhausted. You thought you were just tired, but they were actively stealing your divine peace. When you finally established healthy boundaries and stopped feeding them their daily supply, they completely lost their minds. They went into a state of complete panic. The sudden lack of your pure energy sent them into a massive withdrawal. They called you selfish and arrogant to cover up their own desperate hunger because they could not survive without the light you constantly provided. And that is exactly when the vicious smear campaign officially began. They twisted your beautiful words and created a monster out of your quiet boundaries. They needed the whole town to view you as the ultimate villain, but they made one massive and fatal mistake in their cowardly spiritual warfare. They assumed that because you did not fight back, you were completely defeated. They thought your quiet retreat was a clear sign of total physical surrender. They celebrated their fake victory and laughed behind your back while you were silently healing in the quiet wilderness and rebuilding your sacred energy. They forgot who they were actually messing with. Your absolute silence is the very thing that drives them completely insane right now. Why does your lack of response terrify their dark spirits so much? Because when you do not react and simply walk away, they are left with absolutely nothing to feed their toxic drama and pathetic insecurities. Your silence acts as a massive amplifier for their own dark and heavy demons. Without your sweet voice, they are forced to hear their own ugliness. Take one deep breath and drop your tense shoulders right this second. You are standing in the quiet authority of a true spiritual warrior. They are currently drowning in the chaotic swamp they purposely dug for you. The dark matrix they built to keep you trapped and isolated is now actively collapsing on their own heads as the universe restores your justice. Heaven is slowly revealing the absolute truth to everyone who blindly followed them. You never had to prove them wrong or defend your sacred reputation. The divine orchestration of the universe is handling all the heavy lifting for you, while you simply rest in your beautiful new season of abundance. Those toxic people are beginning to turn on each other out of pure spiritual paranoia. The fake loyalty they promised each other is completely cracking under the intense cosmic pressure. They are standing back and witnessing your completely untouchable peace. Let me explain what is actually happening in the spirit realm right now. You watched them build an elaborate trap to completely destroy your peaceful future. They meticulously planted ugly lies and turned your closest allies into bitter enemies. But there was one massive and fatal flaw in their wicked design. What exactly did their dark system fail to account for when they launched this heavy attack? The answer will shatter everything they thought they knew. They designed their heavy trap using the dark energy of fear and endless manipulation. They assumed you operated on the same low frequency that they live in every single day. They fully expected you to fight back and defend your broken ego violently. If you had engaged in their petty drama, you would have instantly triggered the deadly snare. But you did not step into the dark arena they prepared. You stayed entirely still. Because you refused to fight, their dangerous trap was left completely empty and violently hungry. Dark energy cannot simply disappear into thin air once it is forcefully released into the world. It constantly needs a host to feed on and a fragile target to completely consume. When your divine shield bounced their toxic projections back, it had nowhere else to go, and it returned immediately to the hands that built it. They became the ultimate prey. Here is the profound truth that heaven kept deliberately hidden from their blind and arrogant eyes. Your spiritual DNA carries a massive layer of divine protection that actively repels all dark intentions. The moment they cursed your sacred name, heaven deployed an absolute block around your tired spirit. The universe took the exact blueprint of their vicious trap and wrapped it tightly around their own camp so they could never escape the damage they caused. Their wicked plan became their permanent spiritual prison. Look closely at how they are living their incredibly chaotic lives right now. They are completely trapped in the highly toxic environment they originally created to bury you. The vicious lies they told are now forcing them to maintain a deeply exhausting fake reality. They have to constantly watch their backs because they know their inner circle is just as treacherous. They are slowly suffocating in a dark room of their own making. They are waking up at night, drenched in cold sweat and pure agonizing paranoia. They honestly thought their secret plot was completely bulletproof and perfectly executed without a single flaw. But deep down, their dark souls know that they touched a sacred anointed one, and that heavy realization is slowly driving them into a state of absolute and terrifying madness. They are turning on each other because the dark energy demands a massive sacrifice. Their fake loyalty is shattering. While they are frantically trying to escape their self-made prison, you are resting beautifully. You are completely separated from their chaotic frequency and their bitter, endless drama. You do not have to lift a single finger to punish their wicked actions today. The heavy and precise weight of divine karma is doing all the rigorous work for your ultimate vindication. You are watching a divine masterclass in spiritual justice unfold right before your tired eyes. I know the painful betrayal hurt you deeper than mere human words could ever describe. I know, you cried violently, when you finally realized they all plotted against your pure and giving heart. But the universe needed them to build that massive trap to permanently seal their own dark fate. And if they had not revealed their true vicious colors, you would still be trapped in their matrix. Their cowardly attack was the exact catalyst for your complete and absolute freedom. Gently, like this video, not for an algorithm, but as a physical declaration to the universe that you are in alignment. Let this small and simple action be a powerful confirmation that your spirit understands the massive shift. You are no longer a weak victim of their cowardly smear campaign. You are the quiet victor, watching the universe restore your stolen peace. Your divine vindication is fully active and highly protected. They wanted to completely erase your beautiful name from the community out of pure, unadulterated jealousy. They wanted everyone to look at you with deep disgust and heavy, unearned pity. But the exact opposite is happening in the spirit realm right now, as we speak. The whole community is beginning to see the massive cracks in their carefully constructed fake stories, and people are quietly noticing the chaotic and toxic fruit of their wicked actions. The fragile illusion is permanently breaking. Their elaborate and wicked scheme to destroy you is now the very thing destroying them from the inside out. They are completely locked in a heavy iron cage of bitterness and endless mutual suspicion. You are walking boldly in the bright light while they violently stumble in the thick darkness. But there are specific physical signs showing exactly how this karma is destroying their physical bodies. The physical world is finally catching up to their massive spiritual failure. This brings us to the exact reason heaven brought you here today. There are three silent signs that the universe is currently fighting a massive battle on your behalf. The heavy karma is hitting their camp, and you need to recognize the physical evidence. What exactly does their spiritual destruction look like in the natural world? Sign number one is the sudden and violent breaking of their fake unity. They used to stand proudly together just to mock your pure and sacred name. They built a strong alliance based entirely on their shared hatred for your light. But now, they absolutely cannot even look each other in the eye. The dark energy they use to attack you is completely trapped inside their circle. It is desperately feeding on their once solid relationships, because the dark energy always demands a massive and painful sacrifice. They are becoming deeply suspicious of their own closest allies. Every single conversation they have is poisoned with heavy paranoia and bitter resentment. Sign number two is the rapid decay of their flawless public image. They spent years building a perfect reputation for the whole town to blindly admire, but massive cracks are suddenly appearing in their carefully polished and highly toxic masks. The heavy truth is leaking out, and they cannot plug the holes anymore. People who blindly trusted them are starting to see their true, ugly colors. Their toxic fruit is rotting right out in the open for everyone to clearly witness. The community is quietly stepping away from their heavy and entirely chaotic energy, and they are experiencing the exact painful isolation that they violently forced upon you. Sign number three is their sudden, unexplainable physical and mental exhaustion. They actually thought draining your pure light would give them endless energy and absolute power, but their wicked spirits are completely starving without your daily supply. They look incredibly tired. Their physical bodies are heavily carrying the dark weight of their own sins. They are desperately trying to find a brand new target to completely consume, but the universe has placed a massive block on their dark, manipulative tactics today. They are entirely empty and running on pure, desperate fumes right now as we speak, and the spiritual bank account they stole from you is completely bankrupt. This profound shift brings us to the most beautiful truth about your sacred transition. While their fake empire violently crumbles, you are experiencing a strange and deeply beautiful stillness. Your tired mind is finally quiet after months of brutal spiritual warfare, and the heavy generational curse that plagued your bloodline is completely shattered today. Take one deep breath and drop your shoulders to receive this massive revelation today. Type 1111 in the comments right now if you feel this energetic shift, because this is absolutely not a random occurrence or a lucky break in your life. It is the undeniable physical proof that your vindication has finally arrived. You are the ultimate cycle breaker and the undisputed chosen one of your entire bloodline. The divine transfer of peace and absolute authority is currently taking place right now. Heaven is stripping them of their unearned power and handing the kingdom keys directly to you, so you can finally step out of the shadows and into your rightful throne. You absolutely do not need to celebrate their painful and highly public downfall today. The quiet victor simply observes the perfect balance of the massive spiritual realm with total peace, and you let the heavy weight of karma do exactly what it was designed to do. You do not need to lift a single finger or say a harsh word. Your only job right now is to stay completely grounded in your beautiful silent peace. Do not reach out to them when their broken and chaotic world finally shatters completely. The divine quarantine must remain perfectly intact for your massive breakthrough to arrive on time, because any contact with their desperate energy will absolutely delay your massive blessing. Their chaotic destruction is the exact opposite of your divine and perfectly silent restoration. You are stepping into a profound season of completely untouchable protection and endless favor. The universe is heavily guarding your precious energy as we approach the final revelation, and you must prepare your heart for the absolute climax of your beautiful story. They thought they could permanently extinguish the bright fire that heaven placed inside your soul, but their massive betrayal only acted as the ultimate catalyst to completely awaken your dormant power, and you are no longer the naive empath they used to easily walk all over. You are a fierce and highly discerning spiritual warrior standing in total victory. The massive shift is happening right now, and the heavy scales are finally balancing out completely. Every single tear you shed in pure secret is being heavily compensated by the universe today. You can just watch them violently panic while your beautiful soul remains entirely calm, because your absolute silence is the loudest weapon they have ever faced. The time for talking is absolutely over today. The universe has seen enough of their wicked games. The divine scales of justice are finally moving in your favor. And I declare right now that the season of you being a footstool for their fragile ego is permanently finished. The heavy spiritual gavel has officially struck the table. In the mighty name of the Creator, I break every single chain they placed on you. I command their heavy projections to fall off your tired shoulders immediately. You are no longer their convenient emotional punching bag. You are the ultimate cycle breaker, standing in completely untouchable power. The heavy chains of their toxic matrix are completely shattered today. Those who sat at comfortable tables and spoke poorly of your pure name are panicking. They are about to witness heaven prepare a massive feast for you right in front of their eyes. You do not have to lift a single physical finger. You do not have to defend your beautiful soul anymore. Heaven is stepping in as your ultimate defense attorney right now. Look closely at the fake community that tried to completely destroy your spirit. Their foundation of lies is crumbling violently into a million tiny pieces. The people who blindly followed their vicious smear campaign are finally waking up to the ugly truth. They are watching the undeniable and chaotic downfall of the very leaders they foolishly trusted. Every single lie they whispered in the dark is returning to their camp with massive interest. The deep confusion they tried to cast onto your peaceful life is currently consuming their own minds. They wanted you to walk in complete shame, but the universe is currently wrapping them in the heavy garment of their own embarrassing failure. Their wicked plot has officially collapsed. I decree that the heavy, suffocating mantle of survival mode is permanently falling off your back. You are no longer just violently surviving their constant and deeply draining emotional attacks. You are stepping into a profound season of completely unmatched and quiet authority. Breathe out the heavy toxic air right now. The brutal spiritual war has been officially won. Your pure energy is far too expensive to spend on their deeply pathetic drama anymore. Let them choke on the bitter consequences of their own cowardly and wicked actions. You have successfully entered the sacred sanctuary of divine protection and endless abundance. Their desperate cries for attention will no longer pierce your beautiful shield. You are totally untouchable. They will be forced to stand back and watch the universe completely restore your stolen blessings. Everything they aggressively tried to take from you is being multiplied and returned directly to your hands. The fake power they thought they possessed was completely stripped away by the high courts of heaven. They are absolutely nothing without your bright, shining light. I break every generational cycle of betrayal and poverty that tried to follow you here. The deep anxiety stops completely with you. The broken and toxic relationships stop entirely with you today. You are officially released from the heavy burden of fixing a community that violently rejected your healing hands. You are finally and completely free. They are turning on each other just like starving wolves in a dark and empty cage. Their desperate screaming cannot touch the high frequency of your new divine altitude. You survived the brutal wilderness completely alone. You walked straight through the burning fire, and you came out beautifully purified and infinitely stronger. Your absolute vindication is entirely complete. Type 888 in the comments if your spirit feels this massive release right now. Let this physical action seal the divine verdict that heaven just delivered over your life. The town that tried to make you look stupid is now wearing the heavy crown of their own massive ignorance. They thought they buried you, but they completely forgot you were a powerful seed. You are blooming violently in the exact same soil where they desperately tried to destroy you. The bright light of your success is blinding their highly envious and bitter eyes. The universe did not just clear your good name today. The universe completely obliterated the entire battlefield and handed you the ultimate golden trophy. Your arrogant enemies are completely defeated. Stay completely grounded in this beautiful and profound moment of spiritual catharsis. You do not owe them a single explanation or an ounce of your precious forgiveness today. Let the heavy weight of karma finish the rigorous work it started in their dark camp. You are a powerful chosen one, and your majestic reign of absolute peace begins right now. Now that the heavy verdict has been delivered, you must understand the rules of your new season. You cannot handle your massive blessing with the same energy you used in the wilderness. There is a strict divine protocol you absolutely must follow right now. If you mishandle this profound moment by giving into your ego, you risk severely delaying the ultimate manifestation of your total freedom. Listen very carefully. You are going to see them violently struggle and aggressively turn on each other very soon. The universe is going to fully expose their wicked actions for the entire town to clearly see. You will hear chaotic rumors about their sudden and deeply embarrassing downfall. But you absolutely must resist the heavy human temptation to openly celebrate their massive pain. You must remain completely silent. Do not laugh at their massive failure, and do not post clever quotes about karma on your page. Mocking their painful destruction instantly lowers your sacred frequency back to their deeply toxic level. The universe did not fight this brutal battle just so you could violently gloat over their broken bodies and ruined reputations today. Your quiet victory is not a cheap weapon for petty revenge. It is a holy elevation. If you laugh at their divine punishment, you are actively interfering with the serious work of karma. God does not need your commentary or your proud applause while he handles your bitter enemies. Your absolute silence is the ultimate proof that you have truly outgrown their pathetic little matrix. Let the high courts of heaven finish the rigorous work without your unnecessary and dangerous intervention. But there is an even greater trap that your pure, empathic heart must carefully avoid today. When you see them crying and desperately begging for help, you will suddenly want to save them. You will feel a powerful urge to reach out and pull them from the dark swamp they purposely created for you. You absolutely must not lift a single finger to rescue them from their own consequences. You must protect your peace. If you try to aggressively save them from their karma, you will absorb their heavy punishment. The universe quarantined them for a very specific reason, and you cannot break that holy seal. They chose to violently build a dark trap for your spirit, and now they must learn their painful lesson completely alone. Do not let your beautiful compassion become a dangerous vulnerability again. Stay completely still. Your divine assignment is to simply steward this profound peace with absolute grace and deep maturity. You are walking into a massive season of effortless abundance and totally untouchable authority. You must permanently protect your new environment by keeping your circle extremely small and incredibly quiet. Do not invite those familiar toxic spirits into your brand new and completely purified holy sanctuary. Let them desperately wonder how you survived their vicious and highly calculated emotional attacks. Let them silently watch you bloom into a masterpiece while their fake empire violently burns to the ground. You do not owe them closure, and you absolutely do not owe them a second chance to hurt you. The heavy door between you and their dark world is permanently closed and tightly locked. Do not let their desperate and highly dramatic apologies trick you into lowering your solid boundaries. When karma hits them hard, they will suddenly remember how pure and beautiful your light always was. They will actively try to crawl back into your peaceful life, claiming they have completely changed their wicked and toxic ways. You must stand firmly in your quiet authority and absolutely refuse their access. Their sudden regret is not genuine remorse for the massive pain they intentionally caused your beautiful soul. They are simply terrified of the severe divine punishment they are currently receiving from the massive universe. They desperately want to use your pure, forgiving energy as a cheap shield against their own heavy karma. Do not let them violently drain your sacred frequency ever again. Remain perfectly distant. Keep your beautiful dreams and your massive upcoming blessings completely hidden from their envious eyes. You do not need to aggressively announce your new victories to a toxic crowd that actively prayed for your downfall. Move in complete silence and let your massive success make all the loud noise in the hidden spirit realm. Your total detachment is the ultimate proof of your profound spiritual maturity. The universe is handing you the keys to a kingdom that they could never even begin to comprehend. You are stepping into a beautiful timeline where your pure heart is heavily protected and deeply valued. Let the heavy dust settle entirely on their completely ruined and incredibly pathetic fake empire today. You have a massive divine destiny to fully fulfill, and it requires your absolute and unbroken focus. Your silence is your greatest weapon, and your total peace is your absolute and final revenge. You are no longer the deeply wounded victim crying softly in the dark corners of their toxic town. You are the chosen one who successfully broke the heaviest generational curse in your entire family bloodline. Walk forward with the quiet dignity of a true victor and never look back at their absolute ruin. You have walked a very long and brutal road to reach this exact moment today. The heavy tears you cried in the dark were absolutely not wasted. The universe collected every single drop of your hidden pain, and now heaven is using that exact same water to beautifully nourish your brand new season of abundance. The deeply painful chapter of constant survival is officially over. You are no longer the deeply wounded victim wandering aimlessly through their toxic town. You are a profound masterpiece crafted specifically for a massive divine purpose. The heavy generational chains are permanently broken and laying in the dust behind you. You stepped into the blazing fire completely alone. But despite the massive betrayal, you emerged from the fierce flames entirely purified and totally untouchable. I speak a permanent seal of divine protection over your beautiful mind right now. Let the heavy, chaotic noise completely fade away into nothingness. I command every dark projection directed at your pure spirit to return instantly to the sender. You are heavily guarded by the highest courts of the spiritual realm today. Your massive spiritual shield is now completely secure. I declare that the heavy fog of confusion is permanently lifted from your tired eyes. You will wake up tomorrow with a massive surge of pure divine energy. The deep blockages placed in your path are entirely destroyed right now, and heaven is actively opening massive doors of unprecedented abundance that absolutely no human can ever close. Your sacred name is permanently erased from the mouths of those who desperately tried to curse you. Their wicked words will completely turn into heavy ash. The divine quarantine surrounding your beautiful life is absolutely impenetrable today. You can finally let your heavy guard down completely. You must simply trust the perfect timing of the majestic universe. No weapon formed against your pure and sacred frequency will ever prosper again. The toxic enemies who desperately tried to drain your light are permanently locked outside your holy gates. I decree that your physical body will finally experience deep and restorative rest tonight. The heavy spiritual warfare that exhausted your fragile soul is completely finished. You are safely resting in your brand new home. Subscribe to this quiet sanctuary and turn on the bell immediately. We do this so the bitter enemy cannot intercept your powerful future messages. Gently like this video not as a casual earthly gesture, but as a massive act of spiritual agreement. Leave a single word in the comments below right now. We do not do it for visibility, but as a solid spiritual seal of our divine alignment. Share this profound message with someone your spirit strongly brings to mind right now. Heaven knows exactly who they are and how much they are secretly hurting today. They might be sitting in the dark, crying, and wondering why their entire community violently betrayed them. Your simple action could be their exact divine lifeline. They desperately need to survive this heavy spiritual attack. You have walked through the intense fire completely alone. You carried the massive weight of others without any help, but absolutely no one checked on your own fragile heart during the storm. If this quiet space has been your safe sanctuary today, you can take one more powerful step. Please listen to this next part very carefully. Consider sowing a generous seed of deep gratitude through the link in the pinned comment. Your gentle financial support keeps this bright lighthouse burning for the next chosen one. Another wounded warrior is currently crying in the dark, thinking they are completely alone. Your beautiful seed allows us to reach their tired spirit and pull them out of the heavy matrix. The divine universe always beautifully multiplies what you give. The heavy season of desperately proving your pure worth to toxic people is completely done. You do not have to aggressively hustle or fight for a tiny seat at their broken table ever again. You are fully stepping out of chaotic survival mode today. You are entering your beautiful brand new season of quiet authority. The brutal battles you bravely fought in secret are about to reward you completely in public. Your beautiful energy is completely restored, and your sacred mind is totally clear. Let them severely misunderstand you while they drown in the heavy karma of their own wicked making. You simply remain absolutely still and watch the powerful universe work. Massive spiritual mountains are currently being completely moved on your behalf. You are incredibly loved and fiercely protected by the divine creator. Take one last deep and beautiful breath before you gently close this divine message. Drop your heavy shoulders completely and allow your tired muscles to fully relax into this profound peace. You are the ultimate cycle breaker and the quiet victor of this entire spiritual war. Stay perfectly silent and stay deeply grounded in your new untouchable reality today. Your soul is finally and completely free.